prosecution for gun violence, and I certainly strongly support increased penalties for those that misuse guns and use them in violent ways. However, there are so many law-abiding gun owners that are very concerned about this, and I know that when you were president of the DA's Association in September of 2011, you wrote a letter to Congress lobbying against the National Right to Carry Act at that time, and not to get into the specifics of that issue or any specific issue, but would lead me to believe that you may lean more towards gun control as opposed to supporting Second Amendment rights, and I would like to hear your views and perspectives on how you would approach a case under the Second Amendment, both under the New York State Constitution and the U.S. Constitution.
Well, I think the Second Amendment is clear. The law on the Second Amendment is clear, and I appreciate that as a responsible, law-abiding gun owner myself. That said, as to any particular case, I'm not in a position, obviously, to comment specifically, except to say to you that I will handle any of those matters the way I handle every other case, on its merits, based on the procedural history of the case, based on the laws that apply, and I will interpret the law fairly, honestly, justly, without regard to any outside influence or agenda, Senator.
Do you have a concealed carry permit?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a concealed carry permit?
Yes, I do, sir.
Thank you. Again, along the lines of Bonasek's Senator Bonasek's questions about independence at the beginning, presuming you're going to be confirmed here by the Senate, at the end of this year, my current favorite Court of Appeals judge, Piggott, will be leaving the bench, and he will be the last justice to leave the Court of Appeals that has not been appointed by Governor Cuomo. And in fact, Governor Cuomo took the step a year ago to not reappoint a sitting justice of the Court of Appeals, who was a prior governor's appointment, to appoint one of his own appointees. So assuming you're the Chief Justice of the Court of Appeals with a full bench of Cuomo appointees, how are you going to manage that in a way that is truly independent from what the governor's agenda may be?
Well, I believe that every one of my future, hopefully, colleagues on the bench come to every case the same way that I have been talking about here during this process, and that we come at every case in an honest way, looking at every case based on the individual merits without regard to who the appointing authority was or was not, without regard to any outside influence. I have full confidence that my colleagues on the bench share that view and have acted honorably on that as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Next.
Okay, I'm going to now go to Senator Croce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Madam District Attorney, thank you for joining us today. And thank you for me get a chance to know you. I do applaud your efforts and your hard work, being a wife, a mom, now a grandmother. It is quite admirable for all of your efforts, as well as to serve and to do the work that for this great state. One question that I have is, with the rise of heroin use throughout the state, do you have a plan to address this epidemic through the local court systems?
Well, the answer is no, but what I am committed to is drug treatment courts. I helped to establish back when Chief Judge Kaye was the Chief Judge, I sat on the Commission on Drugs and Courts, where we made recommendations for institutionalizing drug treatment courts so that offenders whose drug-related crimes that were truly motivated by their addiction to substances are dealt with in a way that addresses the underlying issue rather than rotating people through. So if your question goes to my support of treatment alternatives to incarceration, yes, certainly I am most supportive and committed to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Senator Rasenhofer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over here. Welcome. First of all, thank you for being here today. I've had an opportunity to